Look, Ma, no hands. Greetings and blessings, everybody. This Friday evening. It is 11:16 on 4/30, 2021. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null. I greet you all with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I do continue to pray every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Hey, Doug, Ian, Barry, and anybody else that's out there. Good Friday evening to everybody. Hey, Project, how are you? So, I'm always honored that you all show up and hang out with each other. Was reflecting on some things tonight, and it's 11:17, so I was working on something for the 11:20 4:20 crowd, and which leads me to take a short break here. But in chatting with some folks and conversations with people, um, there ever since I started doing the card readings for folks, that animal things seem to be, I don't want to say more prevalent, or maybe it's the awareness of animal, whether you agree with what the cards say or not, or whether that means anything to you. Hi, Witch Moon, Elderberry, Miss Delaney. Howdy, 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 howdy. I'm honored by every one of your presence. I swear. I was talking with Barry today on the phone, and I do mean this. I'm honored that each one of you are here. YouTube sent me this big email. Yeah, it's 11:19 here, so I'm putting something in to share. I wish I could share it with y'all. I'm sharing it with you in spirit at least. So, and the fact that in chatting with y'all, I'm very pleased and thankful that we can come here and meet and hang out, and nobody needs to feel threatened in any way. It just, at least I hope that is my, if there's a goal in life, it's that. But when YouTube sent me this thing that, I have 507 subscribers, thank you all very much. Back when I was first starting out with Brian and everything, we talked about it and said, we only get 100 people on our channel. Hey, Susie Q, if we only get 100 people on our channel, if it's 100 good people that we can just communicate with, if it's 50 people that we can just communicate with, that that we can, not that other people aren't welcome, but if 50 people, so the fact that there's 500 people that subscribe to my channel is 50 was like a big deal to me. Now it's 500, and me, it's never about the numbers. I never ask, or like once or twice maybe in all my videos, for you to like or share. It's always up to you all. Hey, Michelle. Did I miss anybody? Barry brought me here with my arm tied behind me back. He pushed me here under protest. Yeah, I know, Doug. And so, and however they did it, I appreciate the, being here. But in the, okay, it's 11:21 here, so, and I'm fully loaded, so come on, let's all share one with each other. There's a point to this, other than just smoking a bowl. It's the sharing with friends, regardless of where you are. That's it. Now, for many years, you keep hearing me talking about, you know, the League of Like-Minded Beings. And I know there are lots of folks who talk about the Soul Tribe, and there's nothing. The Soul Tribe is sort of a more intimate group. Okay, they're separated, in my opinion, because having been a member of the Soul Tribe, I want to say one of the beginning members. Not that I want accolades. That's not it. I'm just saying I go back that far. But it's the idea that we are a tribe of folks who've gotten together here, and we have shared our souls with each other. But this, as a group, is part of the group of like-minded beings. Okay, so there is our group, but it is a subtext of the bigger group. Okay, so I just want y'all to understand that when I talk about the League of Like-Minded Beings, it includes Soul Tribe. All right, but it's not. Let me put it to you in this sort of a term. It's elite in that if you allow yourself to understand the simple basic things of the universe, that we're always a part of it, that it's always around us, and that when you learn the connection and when you really understand it versus, well, we're a soul tribe, that's cool, and the soul tribe is a part of the League of Like-Minded Beings. So when you understand that the whole universe is out there, it's not just us. Okay, so not to put, this isn't about putting anybody down or but in the grand scheme of the universe, the League of Like-Minded Beings includes all sub-tribes, all subgroups. And when we understand this and get it, then you go, oh wow, I think I see what Hawkeye means. It's sort of like I'm in South Georgia in Colquitt County, but I'm part of the state of Georgia, and the state of Georgia is part of the United States, which is part of the world. Okay. So there are, layers of understanding, if you will. So when farmers all understand farmer things, and pilots understand about pilot stuff. Mechanics know about mechanic stuff. It's not a bad thing. It's just what they do because there is a commonality there. So there is an unspoken language. If somebody says, I've been a mechanic for 15 years, he's been around the block a time or two. He's probably changed some brakes or something. You know what I mean? So there is an assumption into how long they have done something. Are they a master carpenter? Maybe not, but they've been a carpenter for 10 years or 15 years. They built houses and porches and stuff like that. So, they're definitely in the construction. They definitely understand things that many folks would not, you see. So in the realm of spirituality, there's not necessarily groups or subgroups per se. But, as in looking back on my life, I noticed that I realized I was a part of this group and hung out. And, when I first found out about powwows, for example, 30 years ago, and I started going. So I was drawn to that for something. And then later on, I got the spiritual part of why I was going. So first was curiosity. Second was, wait a minute, something's grabbed me. Then spirit grabbed me. And then, and then it became a part of the powwows. So there was a progression. And so for each one of us, regardless of where you are on your path, and it doesn't matter because, as I said, sort of in the title of this thing, underneath it, is that all creatures are a part of create are equal in the eyes of the Creator. So But as we understand these different levels, those of us within the soul tribe definitely have a connection. Now, understand that that connection means that there is the League of Like-Minded Beings, which includes all kinds of beings, okay? And you don't have to channel them. You just kind of have to learn their frequency and they're yours kind of thing. Or sometimes it's just like listening to different broadcast stations out there and you just kind of find one that's interesting and you listen in. You don't channel anything, although you do tune into certain things, or some things will come across in your brain. So the more you understand about radio, and now this is just an example, the more that you understand about a radio versus turning it on and tuning it, when you understand there's energies and there's, this and that, it doesn't mean that you have to learn this, but when you understand sort of the mechanics of it and how the waves are generated in the atmosphere, and how in the mountains AM radio is the best because it's generated partially through the earth itself, where FM signals are a direct line and don't work in the mountains. So if you're ever, gone through the mountains, you could tune into AM station, blah, 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 because, there's a frequency that, everybody up in the mountains, if you turn to that AM section, then you'll be able to, hear whatever radio station for whatever reason, okay? Weather updates or something, but to the point. So, but when you understand that it's, well, I don't know really how it works, I don't give a shit. Well, okay, you don't really have to give two squats, other than it's more complicated than just having tuned into something. People walk around with cell phones all the time, and they're lit up all the time because they're transmitting and receiving data all the time. So, back in my day, it was a big deal to even have walkie-talkies, but people disregard these waves that are being used in frequencies. And to me, in some ways, I think it's taken away from people's natural frequencies because their energy is being misdirected to these devices, which in a lot of cases, however you want to put it, are stealing y'all's energy. There are a lot of times when I can't even have the computer lid up. I have, it's like, nope, I have to close it. Then other times it's like, don't care, I'm not watching the screen, but then there are times there, nope, close the lid, shut it off. And so the League of Like-Minded Beings is nothing more than being able to tune that energy in, that we within the chat group and all y'all out there and other people in the universe too, that this communication is natural, you see. So I say fine tune, we fine tune it in how we develop it within ourselves. Now, what has that got to do with animals and the nature of things? It has to do with frequency. Now, y'all remember Brian back in the day, be the frequency you wish to receive, It's another day in the Milky Way, Howdy, y'all, as I remember him saying. And the many times I was on with him, and always gracious and blessed that I could get on with him. But and part of the thing that I was having conversation with Barry about earlier is that there were times when, before the show, we'd have a 10 or 15 minute gab, smoke a cigarette, get ready, talk along the lines we were talking about. He'd have some notes. And by the end of the evening, there were times that he'd have 3, 4, sometimes 5 things on a list. And he'd go, he said, I was just going to ask you that. And I would say, okay, and then blah, blah, blah. And he goes, he said, everything on my list, he said, you would pick up on. Now, for me, that's just I just allow it to happen. It's my communication through my spirit guide, who's like, got a tin, got a cup, tin cup in a string, and it's our phone. So whatever it was, and I know it's happened with many of you in the chat room sometimes, where I'll get to, somebody will be thinking something and I'll mention it and they go, I was just thinking about that. I get it. That's what I'm talking about. We are all connected in this. Now, what's this got to do with animals? Well, we are animals. You know, most of us have a heart, you know, they're not just a physical thing, but we have a heart. Now, that's just an inside joke. But anyway, I love you all. I do. So it's something that's very simple, but in becoming so simple, it's hard to really get it. So, but I want you to know that we all are connected. It is all part of this. And it's a wonderful thing that we can meet here. And in some way, I'm some kind of antenna. Okay, I guess is the best way I know how to explain it. But remember that each one of you that participates, whether you're in the chat room or not, you are participating in, I don't want to say a social experiment because that's not really it. Okay, but in a way it is. It's not planned, at least not by me. Maybe the creator said, okay, Hawkeye, this is one of your jobs, is to help people understand about the spirit and the nature of things. And in doing so, they connect with each other. And by connecting with each other, they can understand how they are always connected with the creator, how they are always connected with the source. And so it's not about that you have to go out looking for something because it always ends up being in here that you learn it. So, but we are always members of the League of Like-Minded Beings, whether you want to call them angels or spirits, but they sort of like the League of Like-Minded Beings because it doesn't matter what species you are or what planet you come from. If you are like-minded in thinking and in your beliefs of the, do no harm, the law of one, then you're absolutely welcome in our group, regardless of who you are or where you are, you know. So it's so much more bigger. But anyway, and to some folks, that's a little bit too much information. So, but anyway, so to bring it down a notch, but which everything is connected, people are having experiences, and I don't know whether or not it's because I've been reading the cards or people have been having animal experiences and they want a card drawn kind of thing. So, and for those of you who've been around for cards being drawn, we've had some really interesting cards being drawn. Right, Susie Q? I'm picking on you, but I love you. So, they forced them cards back on me. I'm just here to tell you. So, but anyway, so the nature of things and animals and how is it connected to this greater group, right? Well, Duggar has a personality. Your husband is a rooster. I'm a dragon, Delaney. I was born in 52, year of the dragon. So I'm a dragon. I think a water dragon. I sometimes get that confused, but it would explain why I like to go to the water all the time. But anyway, animals, and if you take it back through the Chinese zodiac and through other things, it's not necessarily that you must believe that you are this. But if you were born in the year of the dragon, there are certain things that just kind of like, yeah, that just, well, yeah. And other people are born in different years of the rooster or the rat or whatever. We don't quite see eye to eye, and no particular reason. But anyway, um, hey, Teresa, I'm the tiger in the season of water. Your parents were born in 52. Yeah, I am that old. I was born in the year of the sheep, and I'm far from a sheep. But anyway, sometimes like for me, there's certain things about the water dragon. Like I just can't get at least a year of the dragon if it's not water. I'll have to check that. But anyway, you get my drift. Whatever other sign is attached with the dragon for that year. But anyway, I've met other dragon people, and it's like, wow, just very interesting. And there are certain traits that we do sort of share, but I've met people of other, but we've shared things too. So, but anyway, um, there are some people though that it seems like it fits them. Other people like don't care. But anyway, but that's just part of the universe. So if there is a belief in that, I think that there may be something to that point. Anyway, we should include it. If we don't necessarily have to believe every word, but we should at least look into it and go, that may be part of the reason why I'm this particular way. In understanding who you are, because for every zodiac sign, there is an animal attached, is my point to this. Okay. Doesn't have to fit you, but for every season, there is, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. Yep. So anyway. And the loving spoonful just came to mind. Did you ever have to make up your mind and say yes to one and leave the other behind? There's so many changes and tears you must find. Did you ever have to finally decide? Anyway, sorry, it's one of those musical nights. Gaza, how you doing? Crafty, how are you? Good to see you all here. It's so many new faces in a way to see folks here, hanging out. I love it. I do. But anyway, but our connection to animals and the spirit nature of things has been present for a long, long time, is my point in this. Okay. But as people who, for myself being out here in nature, I've talked about, the hummingbird that was over my head the other day and seeing different critters. And Barry and I were talking about, having different critters around us, see us, dragonfly, for example, other birds and stuff. And where it used to be, and I know because my energy was in a really funky place back in the day, having been a drunk and alcoholic and all that, and energy just wrong. Animals didn't come up to me then. But now there is a propensity for animals to not run from me now. Whereas, go, wait a minute, don't be frightened. They'll fly to the next tree and turn around and look at you versus fly off and not turn around. So I remember when my granny that I talk about, my grandma Raleigh, who was not related to me in any way, but she was this kind, wonderful, wonderful soul. And in her 70s, when she lived out there around, outskirts of Zephyr Hills, her connection with nature and things, children, animals, dogs, she always liked having a Tweety bird. She always liked having a bird. And I mean, for as long as I can remember, Grandma was always like, she called him her Tweety bird. And, and always took care of him, always sat in the chair and talked to the bird and always. So, Granny had this connection, although I can't necessarily vouch that she went outside and spoke to the birds, but she had that affinity because she always had a Tweety bird. And not to cage him, she liked him and, talk to him, get him out and, have him fly around the house. And, so it wasn't that she wanted to confine him. She just liked birds. So her connection to the universe was always, if you will, was always in flight because of the bird thing, right? Now, I never had a chance to talk about this kind of stuff with Grandma, but we have a psychic connection. And I think it was because she had this connection with natural things like her Tweety bird. And that was her nickname, and every one of them was named, anyway, Petey. She loved the name Petey. Even though one died, she'd get another one. It was Petey, for whatever reason. And she always took care of him, always made sure there was, but so anyway, parakeet kind of bird. So I say this connection with animals because the older she got, she had more time. And the bird, how much she liked sitting with Petey and talking with the bird and her little Frosty dog, her little poodle dog she had. And, and the kids that would come over from the neighborhood and go swim in the pool in the back. And it was, so she was surrounded by these youngsters who were playful and free of spirit and had the nature in them of play and splashing and being outdoors. And that was Grandma. So other people, though, who were closed off and didn't do that sort of thing were a lot darker in their hearts. And I'm thinking of a particular family member that I'm not going to mention out of respect. I should mention just out of spite, but that's not why. But anyway, so the more more elderly she got, and the more she loved nature. I remember we went up to Sapphire Valley, North Carolina, and she in her state, she walked, a mile to see a waterfall because she was with me and I wanted to show it to her. And I realize now how much Granny went through to walk that mile up that path to see that waterfall with me. And I'm just like, so, but it was one of her last trips ever, and she'd never seen those things. So I got to share it. But now as an old man, I think back and I made, she had 4 years on me, 2 or 3 years on me now. And how much she, despite it, she wanted to see it through my eyes. She wanted to experience it. She wanted to experience the nature of it and made the effort. And, within a year, she was dead. But she made an effort at that age to go and experience it. And because I was there and kind of pushing her, come on, Grandma, you can do it. And it'll be worth it, So she was seeing it through my eyes and through my consciousness, if you will. And I look back on that and go, wow, she really put an effort in. She really put an effort in. I mean, really put an effort in. And so for her sake, she got something out of it because of the experience, not because of me. But I was a part of it. So, but in retrospect, though, she wanted to be close to the nature. She wanted to see a waterfall. She wanted to, be in the mountains. She wanted to see the sunset over the mountains and see that twilight in the valley, if you will. And not the twilight of her life per se, but the twilight of, anyway, you've been up in the mountains and you see the valley thing. There's a certain color that comes out at times anyway. The purple mountain's majesty, I guess, depending on the sunset or the sunrise, but anyway. So it's still light out, but the sun's gone behind the mountain and it's still light for a couple of hours. And it's sort of this, strange kind of light, and depending on where in the mountains it's even stranger, but anyway, and not necessarily bad, I mean just strange. So the nature of animals. So in my lifetime, the elder I get and so forth, I got Duggar, I adopted last year. Him and I are good friends. We went outside earlier before I did this. And we have 4 new family members. There might be a 5th, I'm not sure, but there are 4 new kittens. And they're starting to come out, and I'm feeding them and more milk and so forth, to the 2 mama cats. And I've also relocated the feeding over there to where the smaller cats are. So I knew they were around. I knew Duggar had sniffed them out, but I had not seen them. So now they're popping their little heads out and getting around, and I picked up a couple and petted them today so that maybe they would get used to me versus just being wild and crazy. I don't necessarily want them to be house cats, but I don't want them to fear me. They don't have to sit on my lap, but I can come up and pet you and don't have to pick you up. But there's so there is that understanding with fresh kittens. Who is this creepy tall guy with long hair that's reaching down to pick me up? So there is that connection. So I don't want to be forceful, and I want to smile, and I want to give off a good energy. So I pet the mama cats first and then reach over and get the other one. And they look up and go, well, mama is, not backing off. She's not making any noise. Must be okay, right? So, hey, Chloe, how are you? Have I missed anybody? Conscious Shadow, how are you? Uh, yeah, they're not feral and unless I don't do something now to the point. But yes, tame feral kitties. I'm with you. My two cats don't come in the house. They roam all around and in the shed and everything, and around, but they don't come in. I've had indoor cats, but these ain't them. And every time I've tried to pick a cat that could be indoor, it's they've gotten killed, disappeared, something. So I don't even try anymore. But I try to be respectful to the little critters. Now, there are some folks that say, well, I've said about a month ago, I said, I think we got kittens. And I think the one mother kitten had a kitten like right in front of me at the doorstep. And I turned around and she was gone, both the mother and if she did have it. I wasn't sure what I was looking at going, what the hell is that? Came in the house, turned around and came back out and both were gone. But anyway, so I think she had a baby right at the back door and then took it into hiding. So they've been disappeared in the same place. But this understanding about every time for me that I've tried to interfere with any kitties and the kittens or anything like that is always ended horribly for me. I've gotten to know them and scratched them, and then all of a sudden there were 4, then there were 3, then there were 2, and then there were none. And that's happened many times over the years. At one time, I had over at least 19 cats around. It's not like that anymore, and I don't want it to be like that anymore. So, but nature has taken care of too many cats to where the only 2 cats that I've had have been like for 3 years now, maybe 4. And it's not like I'm inviting more to come. In fact, I know somebody that might want one of them, okie dokie, adios, take 2. But until they're big enough, old enough, and come out of hiding, I let nature deal with it. And some people say, well, why don't you intervene? Because every time I intervene, I get my heart broken. Hey, Mossy man. And so, and I've just learned that if they make it up to where they can walk around and stick their head up and I can, pet them on the head, okay, now we can talk. So, but up to that point, no, I'm in a way, I'm heartless about it. I have learned to be heartless. If they're going to make it, they're going to make it. Oh, we'll put them in a thing and do all this other stuff. It's always ended in disaster. So I just let nature pull its course. Now, by doing so, though, it seems like any of the weaker ones or the smaller ones that would have gotten eaten by a snake or a fox or whatever, get carried off by a hawk, which is, as they're getting older, or an owl, more likely, they become owl food. And, to everything in nature to its own, but, get attached to a cat. And then the next day it just ain't there. You go, well, I guess it was food for something. So I've learned not to put too much personal attachment to the cats. Like I don't have a favorite one of these 2. They tolerate me. I tolerate them. But there is a respect. I pet them. They come up around my legs. I mean, even Duggar, gets up around him and the cats walk between his legs, where a year ago he was chasing all the time. Now he's chasing off the male cats and leaving these cats alone. And he's not even trying to hurt the little kitties. He just wants to see and sniff. He's curious. There's new little playthings in the yard, you know. So it's a learning experience for him and for all of us here. But the connection to the spirit is like, you know, if Duggar was growling and had that, I'm going to use bulldog only because of, you know, not all bulldogs are bad. Hey, Elena, the fawn. Anyway, howdy. Blessings. All kinds of folks in here this morning, tonight. It is morning now. No, it ain't. It's 11:52. Okay, not quite morning. It's still Friday, heading for Saturday. But anyway, so our connection to the spiritual side of things includes understanding the nature of animals, the nature of things, you know, because it's all included. There is an understanding when you look at the cat and the cat looks at you and you scratch it on the head. Nothing is said. The cat doesn't say anything to you, okay? But they turn around and look at you, or they purr, or there is the reaction between human and animal, just as with the cat. But also with Duggar, you know, there is a relationship that you have. For those of you who have animals, you know what I'm talking about. So in that understanding, there is, you just look at them sometime, don't do that, you know, and they get it because they know what they're doing wrong, right? Not necessarily so much the cats, but, you know, there are those cats who, you know, will sometimes at least listen to their master up to a point. You know, the master of the house, you know, don't scratch my furniture with your claws kind of thing. But, or don't sneak up on the counter and you know, get in, chew a hole in the loaf of bread to eat some, you know. Anyway, I had a cat that was notorious for that. New loaf of bread. I'd give them bread. Here, have one. But they loved tearing into the backside of the loaf of bread to eat anyway. And be sneaky about it too. But in the nature of other things, though, in nature itself, there are people who are seeing hawks, or, you know, they're seeing other critters, chipmunks, squirrels, you know, right now. It's, you know, the birds are around. I'm out there picking mulberries, and there are birds up in the top of the tree, you know, and I'm going, I'm never going to eat all these, and neither are the birds. But, you know, so where they used to fly away, now I go into the tree and picking mulberries, and they just sit there in the tree. So they don't feel threatened by me. I'm not gonna throw anything at them. So a wild bird and I have learned we're going to the same tree, but I ain't gonna bother it. So in the course of this last, I don't know, 10 days, the birds that come and sit up in the tree do not feel threatened by me. So why is that? Because I don't go out there with any kind of threatening thoughts. You know what I mean? That's way out of there. So the energy that we emit is picked up in these frequencies. Like we in the soul tribe and all of us in the League of Like-Minded Beings, we're learning to pick up on these vibes. We're learning to understand them and share them between each other, which is amazing, I just have to say. Because now, let me stick with the animals. But I think there was a purpose that Creator and the spirits are showing me now that I will share with y'all. In that, because we're all here and learning to understand this, if I was to, like, say I'm going to hold a class on how to explain this to people, it's better that I'm just here and having conversation and y'all learning this on your own. And some of you are picking up with me. I'm picking up some of what y'all are thinking sometimes. And that's part of, quote, the lesson. But it's not, I didn't do this consciously to say, y'all going to learn something here. It was my hope that I would create a dialogue so that you would learn for yourself what your path is and what, you know. because my lifestyle ain't for everybody, you know, and I got places that haven't been, you know, little corners that haven't been cleaned in years, you know, and so I am not the perfect person by a long shot. But a lot of times when I look at the dirt in the corner, I go, well, it's been there 2 years. What's another day? Now that's a shitty excuse. Okay. I gotta say, but anyway, but in the realm of animals though, as we change our frequencies, as we hone our skills, as we, you know, allow ourselves to be more calm, probably than before, and in this uh, being able to control our emotions and our frequencies, when we learn to become that observer at times that is so necessary, like the fox, the card that I pulled the other night. It keeps coming to my brain in that sometimes we just need to stand as camouflage or just not seen. We don't disappear, but we appear as invisible simply because we need to just watch what's going on. And there was an event that happened recently, and you know, being the observer was was the best thing. That there was no other option, in my humble opinion, for myself. So, but in the understanding of this, I've gained a lot of wisdom in that. I'm so glad I just chose. Hey, Travis, I'm so glad I just chose to be neutral and just watch. I got a cool lifestyle. You know, hippies are hippies are cool. You know, you know, people, you know, and there's a cause and effect for a lot of stuff. If I could fix my well and do some things, because, you know, I still have clay that comes through. So, you know, I flush my toilet with a bucket because all of the little parts and things get clogged up with clay and the water runs all the time and it just ain't worth the hassle. So I flush the commode with a bucket, but I always wash something before I flush the commode. And oh, by the way, I learned a little trick about, you know, vinegar and toilets and porcelain. I got to say, so after I wash something, I use the dirty water, you know, and I always flush it with a little clean water because I'm always flushing out my hot water heater so that the mud doesn't collect at the bottom. So, and that's right next door to the toilet. So I put water in the bucket, flush the commode, right? So I've been adding, I put in a gallon of um, vinegar, white vinegar, to see if it would clean the porcelain in my toilet, which is like 20 years old or older. It's and the clay has gotten into the porcelain and scrubbing it just has never worked. It looks nasty, but it's always clean. So I put vinegar in the toilet, and oh my God, cleared it up. And I gotta say that what little odor might be left because I don't bring in absolutely fresh water. There might be just a little bit of stank left over. I pour a cup of vinegar into the water after I flush, and you know it's wash water or rinse water from clothes, right? So, but it doesn't stick. It's always fresh. It's there. It neutral. I don't whatever it is. A cup of vinegar dumped into your bowl is like helps out the. I just got to pass on that tip anyway, and it keeps any residual odors just they just ain't there. So, but anyway, just let me toss that tip out to you because I was thinking, you know, I usually carry a little bit of vinegar with me in the truck all the time for washing my hands if I've been in a situation, or because it's a really good antiseptic. And you know, you cut yourself, sting or whatever, but if you get stung by a bee or something, a wasp or something, vinegar right away. It and or uh, uh, ammonia. To me, vinegar works best, but ammonia is second best. But anyway, but then I learned about, you know, am learning about the odor control of what vinegar does, you know. And so it's like, so where I worked, I used to, when I take my bucket and everything and go camping, so I can have some place to poo, because I'm old and I need a place to sit down. I can't do the leany thing anymore. That's what old age will do to you, right? Find a place with a bathroom. But if you don't, take your own. So, but in doing that though, I used to take like pine sol, and it just smells like pine sol and smells medicine-y. But now, uh, uh, vinegar and a little dash of vinegar in that same, just there is, it's a neutral smell. It's great. So anyway, enough about that. Side note. But back onto with animals. So, why is this important that we learn about animals in our spirit journey? Because it's learning about our frequency of who we are. It's aligning ourselves with the natural frequencies of the universe. So, because the animals are already attuned to it, now some have been trained around cities and stuff, and, owls in backyards and neighborhoods in Tallahassee, and people missing their cats all the time because of the owls. And they were like, I got damned owls. And I was like, you got to feed them, and they, so you walk your cat at night, people walk their cats, because of, they can't even let them out in the backyard with a fence kind of thing. Owls and hawks too. But anyway, um, in chatting with Barry early today, I wanted to make this point to y'all, and there's nothing wrong with it, okay? But there's a level of thought in this. There are those people like my grandma, bless her heart. She kept a parakeet, loved parakeets, and loved the birds and fed them. But she fed them because she loved them. Okay. Now, but I think Granny had something else that was deeper. She just didn't know about it, nor did she speak about it. But because of the psychic relationship that me and Granny had, I can safely say I think she knew in her heart there was something more there. Just saying. Because of her respect for nature, and she loved birds, not to cage them, but she liked them as a companion. And so your frequency is tuned better. There are some critters that just won't go to some people. They'll reach their hand out and go to pet a dog. And one of the things I learned a long time ago is you don't stand over an animal. If you want to get to know them, you crouch down and look at them in the eye. But as long as you're standing over them, you are a threat. Doesn't matter what the critter is. Tonight, second time, and I took some milk out to the little kitties and so forth. So instead of standing over them, I crouched down. So I was, even though I'm still taller than the kitties are, I'm a lot less threatening, closer to the ground. Okay. So you want to get them to, come to you and to, so you get on their level. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's just horseshit and blah, blah, blah. And you don't do that. But, there are the horse whisperers, there's the dog whisperer. There are people who understand that this is a natural thing. So for those of us who are more in nature than other folks, meaning, I've lived down here in the woods, other people have lived in different varieties of neighborhoods or whatever. So, but with that, hey, Julianne, how are you? Crafty. Chloe, I just pointed that out before you walked in the room there. Only master numbers for a master. Uh, Elena, I love my fur babies. Yeah. Yeah, Granny was a really special lady, in her own right. But the reason I use her, because she didn't have a religion, but she felt a spiritual closeness to things. Okay. So in my opinion, she went right on up to heaven, right? Because she didn't need God or anything to ensure. She just knew, because of her life and how she understood and accepted nature. And we were all Catholics around her. So it wasn't like there wasn't any God or, nothing going on. But Granny was just, no, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, but y'all go ahead. So, and that is my reference point is Granny. But at the same point, though, as I'm living almost as old as she was when she passed away, I think it was 72 or 3, or I don't think she made it to 70. Maybe it was 74. But anyway, and I'll be 69 in September. So, I keep looking back on my life and going, wow, crap. Somebody said, come on, Dave, we're taking you up here to go see this. I could see where Grandma made the effort going to the mountains to be close to nature and to see those things and to experience them. But I can also see her like, son of a bitch. That I don't know if I could make that hike, now at my age and in my, configuration. But anyway, so, but our connection to animals and to flowers, and to some people do more gardening, and some people just don't give a shit. So, my grandma, no, she could care less what, she couldn't care less. She was a careless, didn't care person. She went and played cards with the girls and drank and was drunk all the time in her old age. I guess she had fun, but there wasn't anything about going out and planting stuff. There was nothing about, no, it was just hanging out with their girlfriends and playing pinochle or cribbage or whatever the hell it was. And drinking wine. Okay, fine. 369, the goose drank wine, the monkey spit tobacco on the streetcar line. The line broke, the monkey got choked, and they all went to heaven in a little rowboat. Clap, clap. Anyway, so God, I remember listening to that 45 up at my cousin's house in Ohio. And the upstairs, anyway, never mind. Back in the 60s. But folks that who hunt, who fish, who are outside more often, have, there are many of you all, but some other folks that I've talked to, it's like, do you go fishing for the fish or do you release them? And they go, I don't, they're casting out there and reeling. They don't really care. They're out there on the boat. They're having fun. They're outdoors. It's their excuse. Good. Now, there are those people who are out there to fish, nothing wrong with either one, but both are there for a purpose, right? One is, if I catch a fish, I'm probably going to let him go. And the other guy, like some of the rednecks around him, if I catch a fish, he's going in the cooler, we're going to have a fish fry, and don't matter if we catch but one, it's going home to the freezer because there might be one or two more in the freezer and they're going to cook them all up anyway. Cornmeal, and that kind of thing, but, and peanut oil. Just sorry about that. But anyway, but the connection to the outdoors. So there are some people who just like, it's nice outside, I'm going to look at it through the window. Don't have the same connection. They just don't. They think it's pretty, but unless you experience it, then you're just looking at it. Okay, 12:20. We're going to catfish, Lord, they take it and feed. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't have salmon down here, but yeah, understood. Yeah, see, I don't really hunt either. I mean, actually, I don't hunt, but I always know what the tracks are. I always know, where the feeding habits and what to look for were for the deer. And like the other night, I mentioned in a video about, all the turkey gobblers that were down, in the back down on the river. It's just a little too gooey right now for me to go walking back there, but only for my own convenience. You're up in Canada? Uh-huh. 12:20 says 4:20 in England. But anyway, so there's some folks are experiencing that natural things seem to be coming closer to them. And in saying that, this is a simple answer. Animals won't come up to somebody who's all nervous or mean or whatever, because their energy is just wrong. There are people who a dog will just go right up to. And there are some animals that, a dog goes, and they go, wait a minute now, everybody else can pet this dog, but that person, that's the person you should scratch your head about. Not to be rude, but you should scratch your head about. That dog knows something. And so when we understand that nature, when we can, the birds will, are hanging around more, or the hummingbirds don't fly off when you're sitting outside, versus they wait till you go in and then they go to the feeder, for example. Will they come while you're there, or do they come while you ain't there? So one of the tests is to just sit calmly outside when you might see that they come to the feeder at certain times of day, and just sit on the porch and just don't pay attention and let them get used to you, and sit there with a calm smile on your face and just think about something pleasant. Don't be going, oh, hum the world. You can't be doing that. No. So just get yourself right in that, you just want to just be a calm frequency, and see for yourself if the birds or the squirrels or whatever don't come closer. And if they are already coming closer, then that means that your frequency is more equal to that of what nature already understands. So in this gigantic lesson of frequencies and journeys and who's got the right gospel and which God is good or bad or is the correct one, it's none of the above, by the way, but it is the idea that through nature, all things are connected, and we are already connected to the divine, to the creator, both feminine and masculine. Both are present because all is equal in the eyes of the creator, period. Even the snakes that would bite us and kill us, they're all creatures are created, uh, you know, with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. I mean, it just is what it is. So, oh, that's an alligator and boo, hiss, it's bad. No, it's an alligator. Oh, but alligators, no, it's an alligator. Well, the alligator ate my neighbor's dog. Well, the neighbor's dog was a dumbass, for letting it out around where alligators are. I'm just sorry, Mayaca River State Park, big signs everywhere. Do not let your dog roam free, because there's alligators laying right there where the boat ramp is, right? Big alligators. And somebody, oh, look, Ma, there's alligators. And they throw the little dog gets out of the car. And the next thing you know, kaboom. And, oh, my God, they ate my poodle. Yeah, it was just a snack, madam. But, if you sit around long enough, I'm sure the alligator will thank you for it, Hey, Brandy, how are you? This little finch has hopped onto my house twice. I want to pet it, but it's not going for it. Right. So, but anyway, going back to the birds, and here's the thing. So my grandma, going back to Granny, she would feed the birds and take care of them. But here's something different now. Not that Grandma, I can't verify this, but my point of this is that she had to feed the bird. because it was in the cage. And Granny did have, bird feeders outside, but not as much as she had her little Petey bird. But here's my point to this. So I've got bird feeders up, and not at the moment. I need to get them back up, but I've had them up for years. So I figure at the moment there's all those mulberries that they can feed off of, and blueberries all around this place. Oh my God, I'm finding more blueberry bushes. Oh crap. Anyway, it's, cheers for that. And thank you, Creator. But the energy that we allow ourselves to understand, because like if you're petting a cat and you're in a really good mood, and it puts you in that, well, I really had a crappy day, and the cat's going meow, brrr, and you're stroking it, meow, brrr, or the dog's sitting there and lapping and wanting to kiss. It takes that whatever off, right? It's the connection to the four-leggeds or to the birds or whatever else. But so if you're going to feed the birds outside, think about this when you're feeding them. Well, I'm feeding them because they're birds, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now bring in a little bit higher level of thought in that. As I'm feeding these birds that create, it's sort of not necessarily a prayer, but it's kind of a mantra in a way, in that I'm feeding these birds that Creator, brought forth. All things are equal in the eyes of the Creator. And so I honor the Creator. I honor the Creator, and I honor the birds by my feeding them. So there are people who just put feed in a feeder, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to gain the confidence and to understand more deeply, is it 4:20 yet? Almost, we got 2 minutes. To understand more deeply that as you put the food out, then extend that prayer, and with the understanding that I'm not just feeding the birds, I'm feeding one of Creator's creations who is equal to me in all things created. And in feeding them, I am giving honor to the birds. And I'm also, in honoring the birds, I'm honoring the Creator of all things. So there is no worship involved. But add that thought when you're putting feed in your feeder. Crafty, I feed them always, and the squirrels is, yeah. Thank you, Chloe. I agree. See, Brandy, any kind of connection that you make, I'm agreeing with you, and kind of sort of to my grandma, is that if you make a connection with whatever animal it is, wild or domesticated, it doesn't matter. When you get that little thing where you can look at them in the eye kind of thing, and there's this transmission of something that they know you a little bit and you know them. In the old stories, especially Native Americans or Native peoples, are the stories that humans and animals used to speak to one another. And then the animals got pissed off at humans because the humans quit respecting the animals. And so, but the old timers all say that when you show respect to the animals, they will talk to you. So, as the old shamans have taught me, the more you listen to them and give honor to them, it's not about a worship. Now, you got to go with this. There, you set some food outside for whatever critters might come. It might be a local raccoon or a possum or something. You're giving honor to whatever is out there in the wilderness. And you're just saying, I don't know who this is for, but here you go. Here's some leftovers, right? And then there's so many critters that are around down here in the woods that I never see. But if I ever put anything out like that, it's gone the next day, normally. So anyway, But with the snakes and the hawks and the bobcat and the Duggar chases them off mostly now, but there are still possums and raccoons around, then they all make their rounds. But anyway, and he makes it the rounds too. Duggar would have made a great coon dog, by the way. I'm just saying. But he's fast, and if he had, I don't want to tell him, he's over there sort of listening, but he'd have made a great coon dog. I'm just, if he had some other coon dogs to train him, he would be a great coon dog. But anyway, and that's a dying art too, by the way. And and in a way, I kind of sort of miss it, because like on a Friday night, some of the local guys would get together and they'd all go back somewhere on the back property and go coon hunting. And, they would, follow whatever them hounds were chasing. You could hear them down on the river and where they were. And the guys would be sitting on the back chewing tobacco and drinking shine, going, that's old Fergie. Listen to him now. Listen to him bay. Ooh, and there'd be another one. It'd be ooh. The bay would be different. Yeah, that's my Rusty back there that's running out. I wonder how far up the river. I mean, not too many people do that anymore, but I gotta say there was a camaraderie and a stuff, and people knew the swamps too, and their dogs knew the swamps, and they knew what the dogs sounded like. I mean, there was something about being in nature, and even though they was running a coon, there was a whole lot more to coon hunting than treeing the coon. It was the being outside. It was nighttime in the swamp. It was being with your dogs. It was being with your buddies. It was drinking some shine and getting away from the ladies, with a legitimate reason to go out. Well, we got us a coon. Yeah, well, we gave it to old Ralph, that him and his family needed. But it was an excuse to, sort of go to the bar without going to town. It was going out in the backyard with the guys and, getting a little shined up, and blaming it on coon hunting. So a lot of traditions that I've seen literally disappear. And somehow I just question myself and go, I didn't see anything wrong with that particular thing, coon hunting. But anyway, Duggar would have made a good coon dog. He's listening over there. I know he is. Jeff, how are you? Good to see you. James, James Goodbach. Greetings, James, everybody. Hi, everybody. Yeah. But anyway, but the nature of animals. Oh, it's 4:24. Wait, what time is it? I missed it, didn't I? Okay, 4 minutes past. We can still share. What's 4 minutes amongst friends, right? I've told this story before to some of you old timers, but some of you new timers, I'll tell you the story, and the really short version, maybe. Let me take another hit, and it'll get a little longer. But blessings to every single one of you, cosmic hugs, and all of that stuff. Brandy, I hand feed the seagulls. See, that's great. And now seagulls, not to say that, they won't come up to, but they've been domesticated, anybody that hands them food, but to the point though, that you take the effort to feed them one by one, where some folks will just toss it out on the beach, just saying. So you do make the connection, is my point. Years ago, 5 miles down the road, my friends of mine that I was friends with for 20 some odd years ran a wildlife center for wounded animals or, babies that were abandoned. And so they had owls and hawks and different critters. They had um, a a vulture with only one wing, and we named him Gus. And every day there would be a vulture that would come and sit with Gus. They never left that. They never left him alone, and he couldn't fly. So, but for other predators and other reasons, we had chicken wire over the top of the pen, and for his own protection. But they would come and sit with Gus. Now, so there was a connection, and we would sit out there in this little patio area outside, and every evening we'd sit out there and smoke one and watch the sun set and watch the critters, and they wouldn't be bothered by us because they if we were taking care of Gus, it was like Gus said, yeah, these folks are okay, and they wouldn't run. So we could go over to the fence or the edge of the cage with a wild vulture just sitting over top of go. Now trying to reach out, or we didn't try any of that, but we would walk over to the cage to see if they would fly off, and they scrunch up towards the barn, but then a lot of them wouldn't even fly away. So it was because all of the animals in that area knew we were there to care for the other animals. We weren't there to keep them trapped, although Gus was in a cage. Now, during one of the periods, one of the springs, there was a doe that was killed and had two fawns. Okay. And I can't remember, one was a doe and one was a buck. All right. But I can't remember which was which. And then there was another one. There was a third one that came in. And so there were 3 deer total. And one was a couple of weeks younger than the other two, were like brother and sister. And so we hand fed them every day. We petted them. They hung out. We protected them, and they stayed in the cage until they were old enough. And then we just turned them loose in the yard. And they stayed. It was a big yard, old pecan trees and lots of forest up there. The house sat almost in the middle of a 4-mile long road. Nobody else lives on this road in the middle of it, like 1,200 acres. So there was very little predators, but anyway, so they stayed around the yard and hung out and things, and they got to know us. So one day I was walking from one of the barns to another, and I just felt something and turned around, and there was Bright Eyes, so we called her, big Bright Eyes, for a deer. Anyway, fawn in the story, right? And so walks up to me and turns around, and because Serge and I looked like brothers, she mistook me for being Serge, who lived there all the time. But she knew me because I'd been there so many times. So she was surprised that it was me, but didn't run off. She was just like, "Oh, I thought you were Serge," but nudged me almost in the shoulder, right? And so we walk up to the house and everything, and a neighbor comes up, and so the deer's head is at least as tall as my shoulder and still growing. So the neighbor comes up, who's an avid hunter and all this stuff, and he's like, oh, these deer and this, that, and the other thing. So the deer moved off into some of the bushes. Serge and I were standing next to him, and he's talking and doing this, that, and the other thing. So in the meantime, he's got his back to the truck, and Serge and I are looking at him. We see Bright Eyes come around the back of the truck like this and walk up to him. And so he's like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's Bright Eyes. That's the one you've been raising." Yeah. Well, she better not ever come around when we're hunting, So he got in his truck and went on about his business. Later on that fall and into the hunting season, he is down by his deer stand, right? And he's gotten out of the truck and everything and walked over to it, got his gun slung on, and going to walk up into this nice stand. And he stops and turns around, and there's this deer standing right behind him. It was Bright Eyes. She had grown up over a couple more months, and he turned around. He said, he come by to tell us, he said, "Damn it, y'all." He said, Every time I go down there to that deer stand, she comes up there. And he goes, I know it's her because she remembers who he was by being around us, by being there in the safe zone, if you will. And so he's like, I can't even hunt down there no more. Took the fun out of hunting. So, but he gained a connection with animals that had he not had that experience. Now, I'm not saying that hunting deer is a bad thing, because there's a whole part about deer and about how the antelope and the elk, how they gave themselves for food when they knew that mankind was starving. So there's always a thing, and even some of the hunters I talk to, in that if it's if you're supposed to take the deer will present itself to you. And there's so many times when people say, well, there was a 6-point buck, and then there was a doe, and then there was this one, but then this one stepped out and he just stood there. And it was like, I'm the one. A lot of people are like, I was going to take that one and then this one, and then there was this other one. So the one that is presented, and in the Native American traditions, and in some other native traditions, it was always that you gave thanks. It wasn't that anybody worshiped the deer, but they had to honor the deer for giving its life so that they could live. So it wasn't this mass slaughter of animals. It was the taking of a life and knowing that you took it, knowing that the animal offered itself for you as food for you, your kin or your tribe or whatever. And in that, when you kill it, there is the knowing that you killed it. And there's also that when you have to clean and gut it yourself, you killed it. I mean, it's like a lot of people don't have the stomach for that, and I've been around, cows and pigs and chickens and stuff, and, I usually just killed squirrels and rabbits and things, but even gave that up. But the thing is, and, fish, but the thing is I have done it. I can do it. I have done it. And after the deer was killed, I wanted to learn how to skin it and gut it and do all that stuff. And let me tell you, it's nasty, So people, I can do this. I could live on my own. Yeah, okay. Go kill it, drag it home, gut it, do all that. Take the hide. Go ahead. You do it. It is not as easy. It really isn't that hard, but to people who've never done something like that. So y'all better be careful what you think you can or cannot do. But when there is honor in it, and the animal stops and says, here I am, there's honor in that. And for all people who hunt, usually they learn about there's an honor to that. Now you got to be a cold-hearted son of a bitch to just go out and shoot stuff and go, here, I got me another one. Look at this, damn, and not pay attention to what that critter was, or the energy, the essence of life, its connection to the earth. And, if it was a stag, then how many populations of other deer or elk or whatever, So does anybody look at the horns on this thing? Do they really understand the connection to not just Mother Earth, but to the universe in itself, that there is a life that was taken? Or was it a life that was given? Okay, there's a difference. So if the animal gives itself and you have that eye-to-eye contact, which I've other folks have talked to me about it before, and I've talked about it on my grandson, Big John, and then he said, Pops, he looked right at me and I knew it was him. And, and I said a prayer, and, and he respected that animal that he took, and the animal gave himself up. John was like, I could not believe it. He looked right at me. And I said, yeah, I understand. Because you went there with respect and you went there with honor. And that means a lot. So people who don't get it, the people who just go out to do it because, wow, I got a gun and I can shoot it, kill it, or whatever, That is not the same thing. There is not the same honor or respect there. So, in the natural world of things, if you don't have to kill it, then don't, you know. But if an animal and you're starving gives itself up for you, that's another story. Because the universe is saying, here, eat. Well, I don't know. I don't want to give it. No, I'm here to tell you, hey, I'm here to tell you that I'm offering myself as sustenance for you, and please take it. They're trying to honor you as well. Um, I've caught some fish that was so damn persnickety, jabbed, you know, I still have the scars where it jabbed a hook into my thumb and finger to where they were joined together. They were, my finger and my thumb were joined together. And while I'm holding the rod like this, and I had to paddle the canoe back, you know, with my fingers literally hooked together. So it was that was an experience. But um, the idea, though, that I'm thinking about my time on the Buffalo River when the bear came in the middle of the night and stuck its nose on the tent just above my head, you know. And I think of the times that I have witnessed, you know, the wild animals. You've heard me tell the story about in my own backyard when I was doing ceremony down there years ago and learning my shaman trade. And that when I got through with an all-night session, I asked the creator and the spirits, I said, give me a sign that this, you know, this ceremony was accepted. And as soon as I got those words out of my mouth, this big huge barred owl is sitting in an oak tree over my head, whoo, whoo, and you know, like and the next night I did a river ceremony to connect the water and the land together. And as I got done with that ceremony, the next morning, the 24 hours later, out of the water came this big otter. And like I could have, you know, reached out and touched it on the nose, stuck its head up out of the water and smiled just as I blew out the candle and just as daybreak was coming. And it stuck its head out and smiled at me and said, you know, because it was the same thing. If this ceremony is accepted, then just, you know, any sign will do. And about that time, the otter stuck his head up out of the water. And I was like, I'm still to this day, it freaks me out in that it happened just like that. So when we are connected, when our intent is true, when our prayers are sincere, and then nature will show us. They'll show right up and say, here, yep, there you go. Now, so what does that mean in the real world? It means that your energy, your frequency. So what else in this world matters when you die? It's going to be the frequency that you are at that time. Where are you in that grand scale of frequency? You don't give a crap? Well, then, you know, you're in preschool, you know. But if you understand that the nature of the frequency and of nature of things and our energies and how we interconnect, when you have that knowledge and have practiced it with others, like y'all are doing right now and have been doing, keep up the good work, my friends. We need to stay humble in what we learn. And it isn't about how much or there, and this isn't about competition ever. It's never about competition. Ever, never. I've never had to actually kill a deer for meat. I'm connected to Mother Nature to a point where I cannot take another animal life unless it's disparity. I have a barred owl here in my tree, Hawkeye. There you go. Anyway, but everyone so far that has come here has shown honor and respect to the other folks. And of all the things that and I don't really ask it, but I try to set the example in that everybody's welcome, everybody's their own opinion. You don't have to think like me, but I'm trying to give you my job here on this planet is to give you another point of view because you need something other than what's out there. And I'm just pointing out the simple things in nature. So it's not like, I have some magical power. Okay. I don't want that. At one time I thought I did, but stay away from that mess. Anything that requires, that taking energy away from something or possibly interfering with the nature of things. So, you can come across something out in the woods or the bear or something. And my reaction could have been scream, jump out the tent, had the bear chase me into the Buffalo River, or laid there and just go, okay, bear, thank you so much for your presence. And I'm here. And thank you for not ripping a hole in the tent and trying to eat my face. Thank you. Versus the reaction of my wife at the time, I was ready to smother, and hold her down and, but anyway, she really freaked out. But I guess a lot of other people would. I guess I'm nutty that way. But I also knew going to the Buffalo River that bear kept coming into my brain and stuff. So, and then bear showed up there while we were camped out down there in the wilderness area. I was like, there you go. So, the vision that I had of bear and the lesson and the this and the being visited and not only in dreams beforehand, but then show up. And so, and then, how you react. So my lesson was, how did I react to a bear literally being inches from my face? Or I didn't see it because I was inside the tent, but the bear could have literally, put its nose on my head, that close. So, is everybody like that? No, but everybody can be like that. Now, not to say that you should just, allow bears, and there are then people that hung around grizzly bears and stuff and they still get eaten. Bears are still bears, snakes are still snakes. And you can have a pet alligator, but it's still an alligator. You are still a food source. The idea, though, that in the honor and respect of all things, though, I remember telling some folks many years ago, because I thought I was fixing to kick the bucket, right? I mean, my head, I was, went from standing and driving to in a wheelchair and not being able to do anything. I figured, my time's up here. I guess I'm out of here, right? And I realized I did go through a death at that time, but it was my choice to be closer to nature that helped bring me out of that death into the present moment where I'm still here with y'all. Thank you. But if you want to understand, and I say, wait, let me back this up a little bit. If you want to further your energies psychically or spiritually, however you want to, whatever those terms you want to be, you want to call it, the synchronicity, I would rather just say, welcome to the League of Like-Minded Beings, because we understand this. It's the nature of things without going into any kind of hocus pocus. It's all about honesty. It's all about honor. It's all about humility to each other, to the universe, to ourselves, and to give, honor and respect to the universe. Just say thank you, right? So, but in order to do that, though, the practice is with animals. So if it's with birds and putting up a bird feeder, how can you sit under the bird feeder and the birds come in? It doesn't have to be anything special, but it is your choice to honor the birds or the squirrels or whatever it may be. So when you're feeding a squirrel, say, honor to your family and all of your brothers and sisters, you know, honor to your clan, to the squirrel clan, honor to you family, while you're feeding them. You go, well, what good does that do to the universe? You're saying, I'm giving you honor. That's what it's saying. Oh, but you're worshiping something. No, you're you want your vibration and the animals that you're feeding, because you're feeding them because you want to, right? And it's cool to be next to them. So why not jump that thought up just a little bit and include the honor with your gift to the animals while you're feeding them? That's all. There's no ego in it. You just say it to the universe and to all your clan. Here's some more feed. Take some of this back and put some in your cheeks and take it back to your youngins. Or maybe what I'm feeding you, your female squirrel, maybe you got youngins back that you're gonna nurse when you get back to the nest. Whatever it is, right? So, but versus the unconscious just feeding, add that extra thought and see what it gets you. Doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to worship anything. Just add that little extra in your thought. I'm telling you, I didn't used to think it made a difference, but it does, because the animals feel it somehow, whatever it goes on. So you want to connect with all things spiritual. Well, you don't think animals are spiritual? They're connected. All things from the Creator are created equal and are loved by the Creator equally. Whether it's a snake, a bear, a parakeet, a fish in the ocean, or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm no better than a dolphin. I'm no better than one of the birds in the sky. In the eyes of the Creator, all things are equal. But in all things that are equal, then I am as great as the bird. I'm not less than, I'm as equal to the birds. So when I feed the birds, it is an honor for me to feed them. And I say so. Here you go, my friends, the birds, in honor of you and all of your kin. And I say that in my prayers at the end of each video. All of your kin means all of them, all the squirrels, all the way, all of the kin, all of the different clans of squirrels, all of your kin. You're giving honor to all of the kin. So you're not just saying thank you to the universe, and it has nothing to do with worship again. None of this has anything to do with worship any idols or deities or anything. But some people would say, "Oh my God, you said a prayer to the squirrels. Are you worshiping squirrels now when you feed them?" And you can sit there quietly and go, "Yeah, okay. I'm giving honor to the universe." That's the deal. Honor to the universe in all things. Honor to nature. Now, it's hard to talk to plants and get a reaction. So, but the same thing works with plants as it does with animals and even rocks to an extent. But to connect with four-legged critters, birds, this being springtime-ish kind of thing, we can make that connection by putting out a bird feeder and by going, I'm hoping by putting on a bird feeder, I'm hoping that I will attract birds because I want to hear their melodies, and I want to feed them in a good, decent seed or whatever you're doing, right? And to give honor to the universe. This is my gift to say thank you to the Creator. So it's not just feeding the birds, right? It's saying thank you to the universe for the birds. Oh, what does that make a difference? If you make it a difference in your life, you will start understanding things differently, and things will, it just will. So, include it, right? Not to say you're not. I'm not saying. James says, yes, feed the birds and chipmunks and rabbits. They love us. Yeah. And snacks for critters. Yes. And see, I know that you all do these things with love in your hearts. But for those folks who are just sort of unconsciously doing them, instead of unconsciously feeding them, then feed them consciously, if there's any difference in that. And there are some days I just do stuff because I go out to the bird feeder and I'm, yeah. But then later on, I say, I might go out to the feeder and mess with with the feed inside it and go, I hope this attracts a lot of birds and everything, and, and be well for whoever, this is good for. So anyway, but, there are times when unconsciously doing something, it matters, it does. But when we can bring that unconscious thought that still has good intent, mind you, when we bring it forward, that it takes that unconscious into the conscious, and it's sharing the two. So the unconscious is now conscious in at a third point, because it's not one or the other now, it's both. You're unconsciously saying, yeah, I'm going to stop. My unconscious reminded me. So now it has become a third thing, both. Does that make sense? So, and in that, there are lessons in the universe. I'm just saying, sometimes it comes with birds, or it might come with squirrels, and it might not be the same thing every time. But when you extend that extra from the subconscious, tossing out to the birds, to using the subconscious as a reminder and bringing the two together, you've created a third reality. Okay. Just saying. All right. So, but anyway, it's all good. And ain't saying that, well, I just feed them and don't really think about it. That's okay. All right. I'm not getting on to anybody. But to understand and to extend your level of spirituality, this one of the easiest things to do is to include more the nature of things. I mean, if you're watering plants, water them with love. Here's some water. Hope you stay more and you grow good and give me flowers and do when you're watering. So, with that, and it's all about the intent. So, but flowers don't necessarily, come and, rub you up against your leg or chirp at you, but, the result is the same. So when you start applying the extra thought to the animals, then if you don't have animals, then by all means, you always do it to the plants, right? So when we show this, it is that extra connection to the universe. It just is. I opened the door tonight when Duggar and I went out, and as we were coming back in to do this video, I looked down and there's a frog jumping into the house, and I'm going, enter at your own risk, because they, bugs around the door and stuff, and I have to watch out that I don't step on a frog here in the house, because they're hop around and go in the corners and eat bugs and sit in the windows, and there are lizards that crawl on the inside of the house and eat whatever bug might come in, and there's spiders in the corners that are feeding all the time. So it's like nature is as nature does, right? But I know a lot of people can, I can't allow, but you let a frog in the house. Yeah, I held the door open for the frog, a rather small one, a young one. So, following in the other frogs, and it's more of a toad than a frog. But anyway, but the idea though is that, to give honor to all things. So somebody that says, you held the door open for a toad frog. Yeah, just, a couple hours ago, before I started this video. Yeah, I did. I admit it. But hey, it's better than putting raid down or spraying poisons. And, bugs like to get in this time of year too. Why not let the frogs come in and have some free meals and, keep things in a balance, right? Frogs don't hurt me. Oh, and frogs do make these little poopy things on the floor, these little black pellets. They, I just, Chloe, it's good that you hang in here. Thank you for your beauty, Chloe, and much love and gratitude. Yeah, I just sent them love and gratitude. Thank you, Chloe, and everybody. So and these things about how do we get in touch, how do we stay in touch, how do we increase our level of understanding, how do we, well, have am I at where I'm supposed to be at in spirituality? How do I know where I am? Or, questions that come to all of us if we're on it. Now, I quit worrying about it a while back. And when I quit worrying about it, then I realized that I just made a leap because I quit worrying about where I was on the spiritual level. And I was like, what? Yeah, see, you just quit worrying about it. And you just accept that wherever it is I am on the road, I'm on the road. I'm between the ditches. And that's what's important. And in how fast I'm getting there. But I am still on the red road. And that's what's important. So, in all of my, but, how far down the road am I? Am I, what kind of, I'm a shaman in training. Will I ever get to another? Will I ever, got to stop all that crap. You have to just say, because that's all about ego. But it is nice to be able to go, well, a couple of years ago, this is how I used to feel about this. And I can understand that from 2 years ago to now, I can understand more deeply what I didn't understand there. So have I made progress? Yeah, from my own life and looking at markers and going, yeah, because I used to be really like this and I'm not like that anymore. And that's a good thing. So is there progress in that? Yes. And not that I'm looking for a pat on the back, that's not the point. But we have to be able to mark our progress, at least to say, I am making progress. It doesn't matter how fast or slow, or if somebody's getting, oh, they're having visions and okay, fine. How are you doing? How is life, regardless of who else is out there? How are you doing in all this, right? Because that's what ultimately matters. Now, if you've got siblings or children, husband, if you've got responsibilities, yes, you have to think about those other things. Now, I have 4 new kitty cats that I have to worry about. So I bought an extra so I could give them all, a place to where they can come out. I can pet them, bring them milk. I'm the crazy long-haired bearded guy that brings us milk. Yum, yum. And he pets us on the head. That's okay. So, it's a social training in that all I want them to know is I ain't going to hurt them. I just want them to get used to my energy. I want them to get used to me, my scent, whatever. And the fact that, hey, I bring good stuff, I bring cold milk from the fridge, and so, hey, we need to go purr for this guy, you know what I mean? So, but as old as I am, I'm still learning because a little while ago, there weren't the cats were there because you could hear a meow, they wouldn't come out. Duggar knew they were there, and I was, suspected. But now that they're big enough to walk around and be a part of, the farm, so to speak, it's like, welcome out. Here's some milk. Hi, everybody. I'm, I'm, Hawkeye. I'm the caretaker of the place. Welcome to the family kind of thing. So that's my honoring of, the new critters from this spring. As much as I don't want more cats, okie dokie. Um, but giving honor to nature, regardless of where it comes. So, you know, 2 days ago, there weren't four cats. Now there are four cats. Now, 2 days ago, I assumed there were cats over there because of the activity and so forth. And I bought an extra gallon of milk just for the cats. Okay. And, after a day and a half, well, I'm already a half a gallon down. A lot of that went to the cats. And I gave some to Duggar too. He likes cold milk too. But I spent more on groceries for the animals the other day when I went to the store than I did on me or whatever else that I needed. And it was more to just like I have, you know, for me, I've got several things of olive oil. But every time I go to the store, I just, which is about every 2 weeks, I just grab one, you know. And so I've got plenty of olive oil. And people say, well, why you got some money, Dave? Well, it's because, if the lights ever go out and my batteries go bad or whatever, I can always use oil to light things. Also, for me, I was thinking about, the things that I eat, which is probably not as healthy as, other people or I should be. But, if for example, I went to the store where they give, 5 for $20. So five of anything, whatever's in the store. So they, bring in their own meat. It's local cut kind of thing. So, and I've been buying meat there for the last 30, ever since I've been living down here and near in this area. And so I wasn't intent on buying meat per se, but Duggar likes a good bone. And so I got 5 steaks for $20. Nice cut, some of them with a T-bone kind of thing in it for Duggar to chew on. He had one tonight. So I've got fresh cut meat, but I make my own toppings with garlic and onion, fresh onion and stuff, so it's not some kind of processed food that I'm eating or cooking, but I always use olive oil and I always use these natural things when I'm cooking, whatever it is I'm cooking, right? So I made yellow rice the other night and, I put fresh onion in it and fresh bell pepper, chopped it up. I should have threw in some mushrooms and I didn't. But anyway, uh, even though they're canned mushrooms, they're still pretty fresh when you pull them out. But anyway, but the idea though that as I look back over things, I eat what I want, but I try not to eat a bunch of junk all the time. So I might not be eating as many greens and things as I probably should or could have or whatever. It's hard to get fresh produce around here at this time of year, and my garden ain't in, so I'm relying on cans. But and some frozen items too. So some of the frozen veggies are pretty good. And I used to be able to do a good stir fry, and I'm trying to get back into that. Why am I? What's this got to do with the subject of energies? Well, because the energies that we have are related to what we eat. So if we eat too many things that are like potatoes under the ground, then that's not something that's growing and flourishing. So lettuce. I got a thing of the salad in one of those, plastic container kind of things, but at least it's fairly fresh, and still crisp, whatever it is. And I noticed, and I should have got a head of lettuce the other day while I was at the store. I thought it was cabbage and then realized later it was lettuce. But anyway, so fresh vegetables are coming into the local store from local farmers and stuff, that they come in and bring produce. So, when the gardens are coming in, we'll see some summer squash and so forth that comes in. But anyway, so I take what's available. And with all the blueberries on the place, I have to go walk for them. But, I looked at blueberries in the store and it was like $6 for this little package of them. And I was like, as I was eating fresh blueberries today, I'm going, man, I must have ate $10 worth of blueberries in my walking around, getting exercise, being outside, being close to nature, and all of that, and saying thank you, to the creator for all these lovely, homemade blueberries. So for me, it just is, for every day, it just strengthens my belief that the more we honor the creator and what's already here, it the blessings pop up in the oddest of places and go, wow, holy crap, and I haven't done anything new or different or anything, but I just continue to be thankful, And I have been led that all of you here on this channel, the fact that over 500 people, I'm now on YouTube's good list, whatever that means. They haven't canceled me, for whatever. So, but allows me to do these videos and to hang out, and that they're out there for whoever wants to watch one, if anybody ever watches an older one. But it isn't for me to decide. It's for me to be here, share this knowledge and a point of view. Everybody's got their own way to get there, And a friend of mine that I talked about the other day was in a really bad way, in jail and stuff, and drugs and alcohol. And, he found God in the church and the Bible. I am not going to put that man down, even though years ago he used to do ceremonies with me when he was a teenager. And I tried to show him that, the spirituality is always there, but he didn't see it in nature. But at least whatever the angels or spirits did, they spoke to him through a church, a Bible, and now, quote, he's saved. At least he's on a better track than he was. So I cannot condemn him for going, well, I can't believe that you going to church now. All the stuff we used to do. Hey, Maverick. All the stuff we used to do and all the stuff I taught you, and you should know better, and I should know better, because I'm not going to open my mouth about it. I am proud that my prayers and the creator stepped in, if it was with a Bible and a church, that he is not on the path that he was. I'm proud. So hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, what have, and I don't mean that with being sarcastically, but thank you. Okay, I'll take it. Now his mind might get twisted up about the church and the thingy, but he's not in the gutter and smoking crack and in jail. I'll take this alternative. You know what I mean? He's trying to fix it. So in the trying to fix it, if you go study Buddha or Krishna or Shiva or this one or Jesus or Mohammed or nobody, just accept that the creator is in all things. That's a hard concept, but don't you need God? Don't you need a Bible? Where's your book, Hawkeye? The book's right here. The book is the stories that we tell. The book is about the animals, and they want me to pull a card. They want me to pull a card. I don't know if I could pick a bunch of cards, but they want me to pull a card for everybody tonight. And the last time I did this, it was the eagle. And it was a strong message. And the other night, at the end of the 2 or 3, it wasn't 2, it was more like 3 or something hours, I ended with a prayer from deer. And I just got to say that Not that I'm, how do I put this? I have faith. I mean, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. And even after all these card readings and my own studies, and my own experiences, things, like reading the car the other day about the deer and fawn, and how fawn went up the mountain to speak with great spirit. And on the road, there was a demon. And the demon, was horrendous, and, snarled and spit fire and snot and crap. And Fawn just said, I'm going up the mountain to speak with great spirit. And the demon was like, aren't you scared? Nobody goes. And Fawn just said, sort of like the deer story I just said earlier, I talked about earlier, but Fawn just looked at the demon, and the look from the fawn, melted the demon's heart. And Fawn went on up the road to the top of a sacred mountain to speak with great spirit. Now, in the message of that is that the road to the great spirit is open through the deer, through Fawn, because she just, with kindness and love, melted the demon's heart. And so the road to creator is opened because of deer, the journey of the fawn. So in this story, the card that I pulled the other night about this, um, the idea though that if we think about certain things in those tones, well, Jesus died for us, and I'm okay. All right, I'm not putting this ain't about that. But the idea of the story of fawn and the story of deer, the deer in the headlights thing, in that through the kindness of deer and lack of fear for even the worstest demon, it said through love, I'm going to go see creator anyway. We're always connected. And that story just shows the way, in my opinion. I'm coming up on, it's 1:14 in the morning. So, okay, Doug. Hey, Maverick. So, anyway, it isn't just the cards. All right. It is all about the interconnectedness of these things, though, and our simple understanding that all things are connected. And, and people are being amazed all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, there are times when I feel like I may not have the same enthusiastic view as some folk, because I've understood some of this stuff for like 50 years. And I hate to say this, but in a way, it's like old hat to me. I'm kind of used to it. Like, sitting in your easy chair, when you sit in your easy chair, you're comfortable, right? Or whatever. And it doesn't, it doesn't mean that I'm not excited for other people. I am, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, because I'm excited for all beings to learn something new and to understand more things, and for us to see the connectedness between us all. I'm shuffling cards. Maverick, how you doing? Congrats on the 500 subs. Yeah, Maverick, and I never dreamed it, never asked for it, but I absolutely I'm absolutely proud of it. Yes. So that over 500 people would be crazy enough to stop and subscribe to my channel. Cheers. I love every single one of you. And we all do make a difference. And to think that there are over 500 people that even come close to thinking like the rest of us, that we have, that we have a higher purpose, or that we have a better intent, or that they would subscribe to a crazy man like me and my way of thinking. But my way of thinking includes everything, all y'all, whether you agree with me or not. That's not the purpose of me being here, is for y'all to agree with me. If anything, it's to stimulate, conversation. But at the same point, many of you have been around for a couple of years now or so. We have come to a certain amount of understanding. So it's not necessarily whether you believe in everything I talk about, but we agree to have a conversation and to share and to go, well, that's interesting. Well, Hawkeye's on a roll tonight, kind of thing. So I'm still shuffling cards, by the way. They'll let me know when I'm done shuffling, and I'm cutting them like this. So they're going in the same direction here. And when I pull them apart, now this one is going in a different direction. So they're not facing the same way. So that means now these are upside down where they would have been right side up here. You see what I'm saying? So when I split the deck, it also means that some of these could be right side up or downside anyway. And for some reason, they got me shuffling a lot versus just here, pick one, Maybe there's something in the shuffling. I got to put my glasses on, Maverick. I see you all chatting. But as I was, and I hope you all will understand this, I honestly did not plan on this, especially with the 500 subs thing. As a social experiment, though, for all of you in the chat room and have been in or whatever, but when we come in together and share whatever our thought patterns are, and the energy for me is, I'm humbled, surprised, thankful, because when I get on here with y'all, there seems to be some kind of psychic something different. Okay. And, there are times when I feel it and like, well, should I get on or not? I don't know. I was on the other night for like 6 hours. I think people had enough, but it's not about the video. It's about the connection that we make. And so I'm still learning about this, but as a social experiment, if somebody were to set it up, my point would be this, that in just simply having, casual conversation and a sort of topic for the evening, which with, offshoots, me, is that though we all connect without any kind of, John 13 says that blah, 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 and, or, Muhammad is like, none of that. It's this, be grateful to the universe and, hey, let's share. So in the simplicity of it, though, it's complex in that all of us are interacting in this way, you see, on this higher level, right? Without, any kind of, I don't have any kind of purpose or construct to go with this, except that we all understand that we are all like-minded beings, right? But by sharing this, though, our interconnectedness, the synchronicity between some of you, I say through me because we have connected here, that the social experience to me is, look at how well you all have done. Look how well you all are honing your skills. Look at how well you folks are beginning or are understanding deeper. It's not just this fly by night thing. No, we are, and believe, we are all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. in our own area, we are that soul tribe. But our connectedness to the universe is always there. And I think y'all are picking it up and understanding it more. And I'm grateful for that. Um, Trust me, I'm not getting any brownie points in the grand scheme of things. I'm not doing this because I'm going to be in more grace with the Lord or something like that. Because in order for me to do this, I have to take ego out of it. My lesson is there is no ego in what I do. I do it with the grace of the Creator. I do it with the honor of you all participating and in sharing this energy. It ain't for me. It's not for my benefit. And thank you for being here so I can be here. That's anyway. So, oh, is that you, little James? I was wondering when I saw your name in there, and I figured if whoever it was going to speak up. My grandson James is in the house. James, I had wished that you would come down here. I could really, 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 really use some help. And you and I need to talk, James. I'm just saying. But if this is your first time here um, and hanging out with your grandpa, hey, listen, I'm going to be in Ohio this in June after the 12th ish, 15th, something like that. And so if you get in touch with me, and I'd like to meet up with you, and we really should talk. Um, but anyway, so card. So I don't know what they want me to discuss tonight or to pick out. I'm shuffling. I'm shuffling through the cards now. And the bottom of my fingers, my tips, I got the cards upside down as I go through them. So I'm letting my fingertips do the talking, but there'll just be a tingle or something like this card. But they're also telling me to go on down. Now that's a ghost card. There are sometimes I'm not sure, and they'll make me pull a card that's like right next to it, even though I think the first card I pulled is the right one. Sometimes those ghost cards are like they go with the other one. I don't plan this stuff, I don't sit around and go, well, I think I'm going to read cards tonight, or I don't plan it. It just happens. Hmm. Four-leggeds, four furry friends. What do you want, Duggar Duggar? Duggar's here. Okay, well, I was going to give you a shot at Duggar face. But anyway, so the card this evening, there's an interesting layout, I just got to say, and words for whatever it is. All right. So here's tonight's spirit message, if you want, for lack of anything else. Number 17, mountain lion. And I honestly am not sure if I've ever read Mountain Lion. I'll let you know. Leadership. Now, this is interesting. Okay. I got to get my double set of glasses on. Um, Crap, it's 1:26. We missed the 20. All right, I'm going to catch up. Yeah, James. Yeah, I know because his last name, Michelle. He really is my grandson. Yep, he really is. I love you, Jamie boy. Jimmy boy, James. I don't know what you're going by. James is fine with me. I know that growing up they called him JJ. So I did read Mountain Lion once for you, Doug. Good. See, you all can keep me in line in that way. So anyway, I need my other pair of glasses. It's a dual package here with these. I can read most stuff, but anyway. Mountain Lion, O kingly leader of sleek feline form, touch my heart with courage, then sound the alarm, that I may lead with foresight, assurance bright and true, to carry on the spirit of the strength I see in you. And see, now for me, I see strength in all of you, and how far most of you have come. I'm not trying to rate you on any kind of scale, but the fact you're here and watching the chat room and how you interact, I see how far you've come. You know, I love it. And it's your work, not mine. Mountain Lion number 17 is leadership. Mountain Lion can be very difficult power totem for you to have because it places you in a position to be a target for the problems of others. It places you in a position to be a target for the problems of others. So if somebody's got a problem, you talk about something, it's your fault. You can be blamed for things going wrong or for always taking charge when others cannot. You could become the perfect justification for the insecurities of others. Now, as we try to expand on our spiritualness with other people, they might not get it. They might not want it. They might not be ready. So, but if something goes wrong, they'll blame you. I'm just saying. Mountain Lion medicine involves lessons on the use of power in leadership. It is the ability to lead without insisting that others follow. It is the understanding that all beings are potential leaders in their own way. And I absolutely believe that of all of you. The use and abuse of power in a position of influence are part of this cat. By observing the graceful pounce of Mountain Lion, you will learn how to balance power, intention, physical strength, grace. This relates in human terms to the balance of the body, mind, and spirit. They want me to read that again. This relates in human terms to the balance of the body, the mind, and the spirit. The giant feline never wastes anything. It only kills what it needs for survival. The female lion is the hunter who graces her table in the style akin to mother energy. If Mountain Lion has come to you in dreams, it is time to stand on your convictions and lead yourself where your heart takes you. Others may choose to follow, and the lessons will multiply. If you have pulled the card of Mountain Lion, you may be asked to review the purpose behind your personal beliefs. You may need to discover whether or not your plans Include a pride of cubs to be like you or to share in your dreams. If you are already a leader, the question may be whether or not the time has come to push the cubs out of the cave. If you are lined with cat medicine, you are considered to be the king of the mountain and never allowed to be human or vulnerable. The pitfalls are many, but the rewards are great. In assuming the place of power that Mountain Lion affords, you must constantly be aware of keeping pace. However, you can never make everyone happy unless you lie to yourself or to others. I will read that again. However, you can never make everyone happy unless you lie to yourself or lie to others. This is human nature. Therefore, the first responsibility of leadership is to tell the truth. Know it and live it, and your example will filter down to the tiniest cub in the pride. Responsibility is no more than the ability to respond to any situation. Panic is not a part of this sacred medicine. They want me to read this last part. Responsibility is no more than the ability to respond to any situation. Responsibility, ability to respond. That's interesting. I mean, just to say, so that's a message tonight for us. Hey, Julie, how are you? Maverick, you'll be here a lot more frequently. Well, know, JJ, that I love you. Always have, always will. And, I've had, yeah, I'm going to tell this. I'm going to tell this in front of you and everybody. I've had dreams about you, and, but it requires you to come visit me. Now, I will be in Ohio this summer, but, and if you're interested, we should sit down and talk. So, I love you, JJ. Now, the next other card that I pulled is Spider. And I dropped the cards and I can't remember if it was right side up or not. So I want to light this cigarette. We're 2 hours and 17 minutes into this. I love you all. These cards are for everybody tonight. I don't think I have enough energy to pull individual cards tonight, but these cards are for all of us. So with my intent and everything and the energy y'all are sending, they are reinforcing that I say these cards are for all y'all. So be strong with the mountain lion and understand, about the leadership and the balance there. So, hey, Duggar. He wants something. I don't know what. What do you want? You've had food, you've had hot dogs. You had this big old steak bone tonight, and I left some big old juicy stuff on it there for him. Now, what, Duggar? Show me, boy. Duggar, what you thinking? Huh? What? Duggar, boy. Duggar, what? What you want? We went outside and everything. What you want? Huh? What you want? All right, I'm in the middle of doing a card reading. All right, say hi to everybody. All right. Snort, snort. His retort. Just get up on the couch for now. Go on now. I ain't letting you out at the moment. So Spider is number 43. And I knocked the cards over, so I can't remember if it was up or down but anyway, I'll read Spider. And all of this kind of sort of makes sense in that, Mountain Lion is about courage. and leadership. And, you know, you can never make everyone happy unless you lie to yourself or to others. Just keep that in mind, you know. Everybody, well, how's things going? But leadership. So now leadership in with weaving in the spider. Spider, weaving webs of delight. Weave me a peaceful world, carrying creation in your web, waiting to be unfurled. So spider's number 43, it's weaving. Spider wove the web that brought humans to the first picture of the alphabet. The letters were part of the angles of her web. Dear asked Spider. Now, I didn't plan this, but here goes dear in my conversation, our discussion of dear, and it shows up in the spider. So, in the weaving of things, here's dear. Dear asked Spider why she was weaving and why all the lines looked like symbols. Spider replied, why, dear, it is time for Earth's children to learn to make records of their progress in their Earth walk. Their progress in their Earth walk. So, you know, Spider's telling us to look at where we are in our Earth walk. Dear answers Spider, but they already have pictures that show through symbols the stories of their experiences. Yes, said Spider, but Earth's children are growing more complex, and their future generations will need to know more. The ones to come won't remember how to read the petroglyphs. So it was that Spider wove the first primordial alphabet, as she had woven the dream of the world that had become manifest. Spider's dream of the physical world has come to fruition millions of years before. Now, the idea of the Spider Woman of the universe and giant things, and, you know, here's Spider, who wove the first primordial alphabet. Spider's dream of the physical world had come to fruition millions of years before. Now, Native peoples understood this, even though they didn't even know what a million was. Spider's body is made like the number 8, consisting of 2 lobed front parts. A spider is a symbol for the infinite possibilities of creation. The infinite possibilities of creation. Keep that in your mind. Infinite possibilities in creation. Her 8 legs represent the 4 winds of change and the 4 directions on the medicine wheel. Spider weaves the fate of those who get caught in her web and become her dinner. This is similar to humans who get caught in the web of illusion in the physical world and never see beyond the horizon into other dimensions. So, in what I was saying earlier about the connection with, you know, feeding animals, in that you do things subconsciously, feed the birds, do this, whatever. But when you bring the subconscious and the conscious together, that creates a third paradigm. Okay. So this is the other dimension. It's very simple. Your subconscious and your conscious are now thinking together on giving honor to feeding the critters. It's different. The web of fate also represents a wheel of life, which does not include any alternatives or solutions. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. If we do not, if we are not decisive enough about changing our lots in life, we may end up being consumed by our fears and our limitations. Spider is the female energy of the creative forces that weaves the beautiful designs of life. Her web has hundreds of intricate patterns which catch the morning dew. If Spider has dropped from her web into your cards today, she may be telling you to create, create, create. Look for new alternatives to your present impasse. She can also be warning you that you are coming close to an entangled situation. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we purpose to deceive. Spider could be asking you to use a journal to write out and review your progress. If you do this, you will not forget how you are creating a new or different phase in your life. Now, that's interesting because I was talking earlier about, that we don't necessarily need a progress report, but we do need to see if we're making any headway, right? So, this spider suggestion reinforces one of the things that I was talking about before, not necessarily about writing it down, but you need to see how you are creating a new or different phase in your life. So whether it's reflections or whatever, but the best way to do is to write things down and then go back over and read back what you felt like a month ago. Very enlightening. Spider brings a message of a different kind when she sees you becoming a bit too involved in the weaving of your life. In your life plans to notice opportunity at the outskirts of your web. If this is the case, Spider gets your attention so that you notice that something you have woven has borne fruit. In other words, you may have done something way out here on the edge somewhere, but in all reality, it's actually borne fruit, like having all these blueberries on my hill kind of thing. Anyway, uh, if this is the case, Spider gets your attention so that you notice something that you have woven has borne fruit. Congratulations. Spider caught you just in time before you miss the opportunity on the edge of your web or on the edge of your reality. The most important message from Spider is that you are an infinite being who will continue to weave the patterns of life and living throughout time. Do not fail to see the expansiveness of the eternal plan. I'm going to read this paragraph again. The most important message from Spider is that you are an infinite being who will continue to weave the patterns of life and living throughout time. Do not fail to see the expansiveness of the eternal plan. Wow, that's a powerful paragraph right there. Now, I can't remember if it was upside down or not, but they're telling me that that is like the message, right? So the mountain lion is, lead in that, and that we are weaving an infinite pattern. You need a camping trip? Me too. I want to go down on the river, but the river's a little bit too high at the moment, but give it a couple more days. Uh, Hope everybody's well. Yeah, track your own progress because, and I mean this with the utmost of respect. I talk about my progress or whatever, and God forbid I would never talk about any of you.